Hello, dear ones. You're at the Indigo Rose Lounge. I'm your host, Alyce Dylan. This is a space especially for Indigo adults, spiritually perceptive, HSP, and clairvoyant, clairaudient clairs. And I've created this space so you can come here, hang out, get supported, muse on some subject, maybe feel like there's someone in the world who knows what it is to be you. And I hope I can make you feel that way. I do also really encourage everyone, please go ahead and read the book, Alone in the Sea of Normal. I did take 20 years of Reiki Mastery training and working with clients through intuitive counseling and being an indigo my whole life, and reduce them down into a book with guidance and tips and tricks and perspectives that hopefully will uplift you. I know that all the feedback I've had so far from intuitive souls across the planet have been everything like a love letter from home to you wrote this for me to I get it now. That kind of thing. So please, if you're struggling, please read the book. It's like me being able to give you a piece of my life in the hope that it helps. This space is also where I take topics of the day or things that are up or things that are going on in the world and try to look at them again from a sixth sense perspective. And in that vein, what I wanted to touch in with you on is making room for the possibility. When indigos, clairsentient clairvoyants come in from the cold, it's often this new experience of, gosh, firstly, there's other people like me. Who knew? Wow, you mean I wasn't the only child on the planet? And that you weren't alone, you've never been alone. And there are lots of us out here on the leading edge of humanity. And that there's nothing wrong with us and that we're not broken. We are different and we deal with life differently, but we are also more suited to dealing with what's coming in the world than the five sense are. We just are. We have talents and faculties that they cannot imagine for now. Of course, any one of the five sensed could take up yoga or meditation, or even gardening tomorrow, or have, God forbid, a life-threatening incident. And any of them could step away from that as sixth-sensed or spiritually perceptive. How we get here is always a unique story. And I find that spiritually perceptive individuals that awaken later in life are often far better adjusted than we were. When we come in from the cold, there's often a lot of healing to be done, a lot of self-work, a lot of self-exploration, self-discovery, and a whole lot of code to be rewritten because we filled our experience and our heads up with so much nonsense. So it's good to rewrite that code, look at ourselves again and say, really? You mean I'm not broken? You mean I'm not a pariah? You mean I don't have two heads, almost literally, and I'm not an abhorrent human being? No, you just have access to an additional stream of information that the five senses don't have access to. And if you aren't aware of where that's coming from, or you don't know what it is, it can be overwhelming and noisy and disorienting. And especially as children, it can really be burdensome to deal with that, as well as being able to look at everybody and know if they're telling the truth or know if they're lying, or know when that person's betrayed you, or know when, just knowing the stuff we knew growing up. If you think about it, how much parents hide behind dishonesty. I have to catch myself every now and again when my young one asks me a question and, you have that pull that in this moment, it would be really nice to make up some story about this. Because either I don't have the time right now, or I don't know if I want to go down. I don't know if he's ready for the idea yet of death, for example. He asked me the other day what happens to he saw a piece, I think it was a lizard that had been killed. And his version of that, it relates to a game that he plays where this lizard has gone to Master Uguay. Because apparently in this game, when your character gets bonked, gets shut down or ends, whatever, it loses all its lives, it ascends to Master Uguay. And that was quite a nice intro because for a long time, since he was about 2, his thing was that lizard went to Master Uguay. But now he's getting older and he understands that we're starting to question the linear interpretation of going to Master Uguay. And so he asked me the other day, poignant life and death question. And I had that moment when I just wanted to make up some pretty little story. I didn't want to, go into a whole thing that, well, you see, this lizard's physical vehicle has now gone to Master Uguay, and so, but their spirit has moved on, and next perhaps they'll be a bird, or next perhaps they'll be a squirrel, something else. And I thought it would be a, masterful question answer session that might have gone on for half an hour. And no, he just said, "Oh, okay, thanks, Mum." And off he went. But I was reminded of how many times in childhood I asked big questions and got the nonsense response. And when I was being fed nonsense, I knew it. I knew they were talking nonsense. And so in my young mind, I didn't have the consideration of maybe they're just short on time and they don't want to spend the next half an hour explaining this. In my young mind, we assume responsibility for things. So in my young mind, I might have said, oh, they're not telling me the truth because they think I can't handle the truth, or that I'm not worthy of the truth, or that I'm too stupid for the truth, or they want to keep the truth for themselves. So sometimes in our young days, when you think back to being 3 and 4 and 5, and you think of all the world you saw going on around you, and the behavior of adults, and how confusing they were, and how you could see through all of their behavior, and you could see the ego, and you could see the ones who were so self-deprecating. Anyway, so on we go, and in our adult selves, even if we have had a blessed life, when we awaken to the truth of ourselves as sixth sensed or spiritually perceptive, there's almost guaranteed healing to do back in childhood. And that's where I'm going to return to this idea of the donkey cart versus the Maserati. Yeah, you see, I told you. Sorry, someone asked me about that. And I said I would weave it back in. So, really, what we're talking about in the donkey cart Maserati analogy is we are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And that human experience can be purely functional. So it can be the donkey cart. In other words, we just get through the days. We just get up the hill, down the hill, up the hill, down the hill. Yeah, that's all we do. Or we can use tools, things like Ho'oponopono, EFT, there's a buffet. There's a buffet of tools that help us to clean off some of the dross, some of the hang-ups that we've accumulated in this human experience. Remember, we are not these human beings. We are the spiritual being. We are the spirit that manifested this human being. This human being's got a lot of external influences. We've got the chemicals that are around us. We've got the parental lineage. We've got the ancestral lineage. we've got the social learning, we've got the social development in our community and in our environment. There are a lot of external factors. And here's our shiny spirit self still trying to shine through all of that. And what we can do when we do awaken is we can start clearing away some of that muck. We can start to appreciate the positive aspects of it. Absolutely want to keep those in place. It's also like, I know I'm piling on the analogies here, but it's also very much like a stained glass lamp shade. You know, those beautiful stained glass lampshades. And so our human experience is like that lampshade. It comes, this piece or this color is our DNA. That piece is the inherited ancestral lineage. That piece comes from our socioeconomic environment. But there's our spirit self in the middle, still shining its light. But it depends on how successful that is. Really depends on how much cleaning's gone on. Because if this lampshade gets caked in dust and dirt and just heavy, opaque, tough stuff, how brightly can we shine? How can we do what we know we came here to do, which is just shine that love, that joy, that yummy, that yay. How can we do that if we're kind of caked in the dross of negative experience, childhood trauma, all of that? So that's the difference between the donkey cart and the Maserati. The donkey cart is functional, goes on every day, it goes from A to B, it just gets the job done, but sure, slowly and with effort. In the Maserati is what happens when we apply the techniques and the tools and all of the learning that we can get our hands on. We apply that to our human experience and we upgrade. We upgrade from donkey cart maybe to a mini. From a mini, maybe we go to a Golf. From a Golf, we maybe go to I don't know, some other car. But we end up with a really fancy, fast, sleek, smooth ride. And every one of us has the ability to do that. We just need to take the time, to sit down and really do the work, do the EFTs. And there are so many different people who are doing these techniques now online. It's EFT by this one, EFT by that one. There's not just one option. There's a lot of different options. If you don't gel with the first guy, move on to the next guy or girl. There's a lot of different things, and sometimes it's just a personality thing. So use all of that. But know that you're just cleaning the lampshade. This is not the be all and end all of you, but you're uplifting your human experience. You're enhancing your human experience, and can only be a good thing, because that's going to allow you to focus more on love. And love is what keeps us out of fear. Because remember, fear is the destructive element. Fear is what degrades, tears down, and pulls things apart. Whereas love is the attractive force that brings things together. And this is part of the reason, I think, why the idea of split parts, twin souls and that kind of thing, why, and I've discussed this before, why sometimes soulmates, if you like, don't find each other in this life. Because while we're these shiny lamps, if our lampshade gets so messed up along the way, then even though the lights inside them might know each other when we see each other, etc., the human experience that each of us are wearing might not be compatible. It's because of the way the world is. So we just need to focus our energy and attention on having absolutely the best human experience that we can, And that means taking care of our good selves. That means self-acceptance. It means understanding that you're not broken, that you're not alone, that you are loved, and that there are tools out here for you. There are people out here who would be more than happy to help you to find your path. And every day, we hope that someone amongst our community, some spiritually perceptive individual, is healing, is finding their feet, is becoming whole. And for each one of us that does that, there are 3 to 5 more people that that person can reach in their environment or in their lifetime to also enhance and uplift. So it only gets better from here, dear ones. It's all good from here. Because once we find out who we truly are and we understand that to be perfect and unbroken and just shiny and glorious, then the future is bright, no matter what our past has been. So maybe make room for the possibility. I know if you're just awakened or you don't really know much about this world and you've taken a look down the corridor and there's some really weird things down this rabbit hole, and just make room. Let's start off by just making room for the possibility that there's a bigger picture here, that there's a part of life that you weren't quite exposed to yet, and that there can be more answers, and there's a more loving way to understand yourself and your potential role in the world, and make room for more love always.